had a strange dream last night. It's the kind of dream that seems all too real, right up to the point to where you wake up in a cold sweat. Last night, when I was in bed, drifting off to sleep, I had an uneasy feeling drift over me. It was almost like I was being watched. More than that, it was as if someone was in the room with me, watching me. As disturbing as that was, I couldn't help but fall asleep. I don't recall how the dream began exactly, but the first thing I remember was walking out of my house. All the neighbors' houses were gone, and I found myself on a long, narrow, empty road. It was cold and dark, and there was nobody else around. I felt I was completely lost and alone, but I wasn't afraid. I don't know how long I was on that road. It felt like I was walking endlessly. Eventually I reached a fork in the road, and I stopped. I realized I wasn't alone anymore. A voice called out from the side of the road. "I'm sorry to see you here," the voice whispered, "but it's good to see you again." I recognized the voice. It was an old friend from my childhood. Someone I hadn't seen in years. He looked a little different now from how I remembered him, even though we were both the same age. He seemed much younger than me somehow. He was also very pale and had dark circles under his eyes, and he had blue lips. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "I'm here to warn you," he replied. "There's a man in your house." "What do you mean?" I said, puzzled. "I was just there." "You don't understand," replied my friend urgently. "He's in your house right now." "Who?" I asked. "The cold man," he replied. "He comes to people at night when they're afraid and waits for them to notice. Then he makes his move. You know that cold chill you feel down your back when something scares you? That's him standing behind you." "What does he do when I notice him?" I asked. My friend looked down and said, "Just don't let him in," he cautioned. "What do you mean?" "He can be close forever," my friend explained. "He'll walk around your house at night and stand in your room while you're asleep, like you are right now. He can know where you are. He can even be looking right at you, but won't find you unless you let him." I asked, "How does he find you? How do you let him?" "You can't," my friend replied. "Look, I'm already out of time." Out of time? I'm not sure what he meant by that. My friend just shook his head. His eyes were wide and he was shivering. Just then I noticed a dark figure creeping from the shadows. "My time is up," he said. "Whatever you do, don't let him in. Don't give him the chance. Don't give him the opportunity. Don't answer it." Before I could ask anything more, my friend was gone. He was pulled into the darkness, and nothing was there. I couldn't see him anymore. I was about to run after him when I was awakened by a loud noise. When I woke up, I found myself sitting up in bed, fully dressed. I could have sworn that I wasn't dressed before I went to bed. I pulled back the covers, and I'm wearing shoes, and they're covered in mud. I felt so cold. I heard a ringing noise, and when I looked down, I could see that I was holding my cell phone. I was about to answer it, but then I remembered what my friend said in the dream. Don't answer it. I let the phone ring, and it stopped ringing. I rubbed my hands together. The room was cold as ice. The feeling that I was being watched was as strong as it's ever been. I can hear something move in my closet, but I dare not move. I just closed my eyes and waited. Eventually I heard footsteps in my closet, growing fainter by the second, like somebody's walking away down a long corridor. When the footsteps finally stopped, the cold dissipated, and the room finally returned to a warmer temperature. He didn't get me this time. If my friend in the dream was really telling the truth, if the thing in my closet was really what I thought it was, I must never let him in. I know he'll be back. I don't know what happened to my friend, but I hope people just remember his warning. If you start to feel cold while listening to this, don't be alarmed. If you hear something in your house, just ignore it. You can't afford to let him find you. Don't let the cold man in.